got a fire extinguisher, I've got a hose, and I've moved it away from the massive oil tank over there. Okay, so following on from what I think was the success of getting the pistons moving again, I need to put this outboard back together, which is easier said than done, probably, knowing me. But I have all the parts. I have a few replacement parts. I've got some oil for some of it. I've got some gasket maker, high temperature gasket maker. So I should have everything I need. That's the theory. Back together. I'm actually starting from the bottom because it reduces the number of bits that are sort of lying around. So here we've got the propeller, and you see that if I turn this, or vice versa, it only, well, it does turn both ways actually. Oh, didn't used to. I don't want to give myself yet more work, but I think, given that it's been, whatever, 8 years or so, I'm going to take it a little bit further apart, just to be on the safe side. Now, I did have a locking pin in there, and I'm really hoping, oh, there we go. If we go in reverse, there is a locking pin that holds the propeller on. So we take that out, take the propeller off, and then this piece here is held in place with a little metal pin that runs all the way through. So if I push that out, see that there, and then that comes off. These two bolts come off, and then I think that this unscrews, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to check the manual on that. And then up the top of the bottom, this is what kind of why I want to take it apart. It's got a lot of crud in it, which, you know, is to be expected, I imagine. But I want to try and get in there and check that everything's relatively all right. On the side here, we've got a screw that's for the oil, which I imagine there is none in there at the moment. So I'm going to start by trying to take those screws off here, because then we should be able to lift this out. This is effectively the drive shaft here, which runs up and connects with the drive mechanism at the top. And then this gasket, grommet, call it what you will, is part of the water cooling. So there's a pipe that comes down, which slots into here, and I'm guessing takes water from here up, cools the engine, spits it out the exhaust. Right, let's see if we can't get those open first. Lifts up. Okay, so we should be able to take this off. There's just a little rubber washer there. It keeps that in place. So we'll put that over there. And then in here, we can see the impeller. Right. Right. I would expect it to screw, I think, but I would expect it. Oh, okay, we found the oil then. Right, there we go. My wife's going to kill me, but okay. So yeah, still loads of oil in it, which is good. Teeth look all right. So yeah, this drive comes down from the top there, and I'm going to say it connects into See how well you can see that, which spins that. I mean, there's really not much to this bit, which is nice. Gasket looks okay. Teeth look okay. Not much in the way of gunk. There's the screw in there. And yeah, you know what? Yeah, so we'll need new oil, but I don't really think there's anything else going on in here that we have to worry about. Yeah, that's going back in. There we go. Right. Now, if this doesn't turn, then we're in trouble. But it does, so we're not. Right, where were we? That can go back on now, because it needs to. Okay, so that turns. Yay. Put the split pin back in. Right. And a little rubber washer on the top here. So the proof of the pudding, I haven't left any bits lying around, no, is going to be that if I put it back in there, I can turn the propeller by hand and it will turn back up the chain. So let's find out if that's the case. Let's see if I can engage this with where it needs to be. Okay, we're in. It moves. Right. Wow. Brilliant. Okay. Got to figure out what's next, really. So yeah, this is the water chamber on the side in here, and then the water chamber for the cooling around the side here. And this is the head that I took off. So I think because I don't know if the gasket had failed or what, but basically this was all entirely full of residue, salt, I guess. So all that needed to be scraped out, and you know, I poked bits around and cleared that out an awful lot. The gasket for that one is relatively all right, surprisingly. So I will be putting that on. It's worth noting, it's a tiny thing, but there is a little mark off center here, which shows you which way around the gasket is supposed to go. I may just reinforce it with a little bit, not very much, but a little bit, just around the outside ring there and the inside ring here. But beyond that, probably not very much. So that's going to be the first step. Right, you will be staggered by my standards to see that I'm wearing gloves for this. I'm not putting very much on. I'm literally just gently pasting. It's just there to back up really the the existing gasket. I'm not being overly generous with it, trying to steer clear of the holes. It is high temperature gasket sealant maker, whatever you want to call it, because this is not all of the gaskets are high temperature locations, but I'm pretty certain that this one is. So that, I think, will do it. I'm just going to clean off the glove. I've given this a really good clean off, so that's good. I'll just pop it over, seat it in place, check that the water holes are blocked, which is those sort of ones around that inner circle, and that's pretty much all right. So I'll leave that for a mo, push it down a little, leave that for a minute, and then I'll pop it in place over there. Easy. If you're wondering why I cut a hole in the side of this tube, it's because it completely gummed up at the end and most of the way down, which is not ideal, but it had been sitting around for quite a long time. So the fact that there is any usable in it at all is good news, really. I could, of course, just buy new gaskets, but I'm loath to do so if this is going to work as a plan. It's actually quite nice to get bits off the bench. I did have a plan. I think I might have a sort of ADHD kind of problem going on, because I do get quite easily distracted, and I do start running away down rabbit holes. So fortunately, I've been quite organised with this and kept the bits not all in their own jam jars. I don't have enough jam jars for that, but in their own piles, so that I can see at a glance what goes with what. So it's easy enough to put this back on, and the 8 bolts, or screws rather, that go with it. Right, so it's these 6 screws, well, whatever, bolts, bolt-headed screws. Okay, one step closer. So we're looking here now, quite a lot of oil coming off there. However, the gasket for that one torn in 2 places, so I'm just going to reinforce it with a tiny bit of sealant, but the rest of it is absolutely fine. This is the remnants of penetrating oil, I imagine. Now this is long bolt country, but before I put it on, I'm going to check precisely which bolts it wants. So I've got the gasket there, gasket maker there, that which is the reed cover, something like that. That fits on like so, and then the exhaust, that's a gasket for the exhaust, already on there, will fit on top. So I'm just going to reinforce this bit of gasket here, so I need some in that corner and some just down there, and of course I haven't got my gloves, so just a bit up here. and a bit around there. And that should do it. Okay. Sorry, I just realised you can't really see very well. I mean, you're not missing much. Let's face it. Let's do it that way. Right. So I appear to be missing a long bolt for down there. It's only a bolt. How important can it be? That was a joke before I get comments. When I find it, I can get it in without having to take anything else apart. So, okay. So, that bit's on. Manifold. Air intake. I don't really know. Carburettor? I don't know. It's probably got a name. As they say. Basically, there we go. A little bit further south than where I was looking. Oh, it's bloody upside down. Is it? No. No, it's not. Okay. Right, I think down here we want a short one and a slightly longer one. Oh, what do you know? Woohoo! Still turns. What next? Spark plugs last. This needs to go back in. Oh, I want to say in there, isn't it? We got that there, and that there, and that's somewhere. It's another spark plug. Might have to look back at my videos for that bit. These two bits have gone back on. I just need to double check because that needs to go on somewhere, so I'll have a look at that in a mo. Right, we've got a rare bit of sunshine, and as a result I've brought this outside to just so that I can stack it onto the base properly, and then start putting the top back together. And I've cleaned these three parts, just going to give them a little bit of grease. They're incredibly gunky. Doesn't need much, I don't think. And then that can go back on there. I think it's held in position by 3 screws. And the magneto can go back on. Another one part where I know what it's called. So only the one part where I can get it back on there. Okay, and then that is held in place. That's better. Okay, we are getting there. Flywheel. Should spin round, which it does. Over this side, 2 new spark plugs, which I'll probably drop in the water, knowing me. You can go in finger tight at the moment. Just a few more things left to do. First is fresh oil down the bottom there. That looks full. And then I have one thing left over. I have no idea what it is. Came off, I think, the underside somewhere. But nowhere is jumping out. I think it came off there, and I genuinely don't know what it does. I don't even know if it does anything. Right, it didn't come off there. Too small to have come off there. I genuinely have no clue. I mean, it doesn't look like it does much. And then I think the moment of truth might have arrived. For obvious reasons, I'm not filling it full of petrol. For other obvious reasons, I've got a fire extinguisher, I've got a hose, and I've moved it away from the massive oil tank over there. I don't expect this to work, by the way. But you know, we live in hope. Probably should put that on second. Okay, so there's a helpful guide here. Mix gasoline and oil. That's already mixed. Shake, fill. Open the vent. Open the valve, which is this bit. Set lever to start. Choke out, which it is. Pull the starter. Do you hear that? Something's happening. Why would it not be engaging the flywheel? Because there are bolts from in there. Okay, that would hold it down in place, but my hand is doing the same thing. Okay, well, let's think of possibilities. This, I guess, whatever it is, might be no fuel. Let's see. I mean, I would expect, since I've just taken that off, I would expect petrol to be flowing out of it. But it's not. You see, that should be pissing petrol. But it's not. Right, let's put the petrol away. And then we'll clean this. Let's see. It may just be proper clogged up. Yeah, proper clogged up. I mean, it's grease. I think it's probably congealed oil. So I'm going to treat it to a few minutes soak in degreaser, and then because I don't have an ultrasonic cleaner, Dewsbury, I will be putting it in some hot soapy water. Suck it through. I'm wondering if it could be the starter not being tight enough. Right, you will notice that the lead has changed colour and doesn't have the stopper on the end at the moment. That is because I don't think the previous lead was long enough. Maybe part of it, I don't know. At this stage, there could be any number of things. I have got the new fill filter, got the new lead. Let's see how we go. That sounded dangerously close to actually sparking into life. Now it's physically hurt me. Maybe it needs a sacrifice of blood.